If you're looking for a succulent that is going to flow beautifully over the edge of the pot and can grow up to several feet long, then string of pearls, or Senecio rowleyanus, is going to be your new best friend. This trailing succulent has these beautiful green beads that grow along these strands, and they can get to be several feet in length. They can kind of mound up and get to be a couple inches tall, but then they are going to just spread out and grow super long. One of the great things about string of pearls is you can easily divide them so that they can be planted in other areas, and you can also cut off the bottom of the stems and replant them elsewhere. Just make sure you let them dry for a day or two and let that end callus over before you put it in soil. So these can be propagated fairly easily. Every once in a while people will have a hard time getting them to root, but usually if you let it dry and just stick it in some soil and water it consistently, you'll be good to go within a couple weeks. It will have a decent root system. So let's talk a little bit about the needs of string of pearls. These prefer to grow in partial shade. They can do okay with a little bit of sunlight, but definitely keep them out of the afternoon sun and really have them shaded by 10 or 11 so that they don't get sun during the hot parts of the day. They can also be grown indoors by a really bright window. If you're not using a grow light, you'll notice that the beads tend to get spaced out more and the strands will seem a little bit weaker because they'll stretch a little bit due to the lack of sunlight. And every once in a while, instead of trailing down, if they're not getting enough light, these strands will start to go up, trying to reach toward the light. So they can be grown in a really bright window, and ideally you'd also supplement with a grow light if possible. These succulents are tolerant down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit or a zone 10, and you want to definitely keep them out of frost or freezing days. So if you're going to have 2 or 3 days in a row that you're getting frost or freezing temperatures, you'll probably want to bring these inside or cover them with frost cloth, or make sure they're in a really protected area of your garden because the frost can damage them quite easily. Well, I love string of pearls, and it is so great to use in arrangements because it's trailing and it just has a nice accent for different arrangements. One of the things that people don't like about it is it seems really difficult to figure out how much water this plant needs. So the trick to watering your string of pearls perfectly is to wait until these leaves start to look like a little bit deflated balloon. So they're really plump and firm right now, but they will start to shrivel slightly. And when you see that happen, that's your sign that they need water. Make sure that they're in a well-draining soil and that you're following the soak and dry method, meaning you're not just spritzing water on top of these, but you're giving the soil a good soak so that it can absorb as much water as possible before you water it again. But once you've soaked that soil, let it dry out and wait for these leaves to look a little bit deflated before you water again, and you should be good to go. You definitely want to err on the side of too little water for these plants instead of too much. When they get too much, the stems will start to turn kind of black and sticky, and then you'll also notice the beads will start to yellow and look translucent. So if you see that, start cutting back quickly, let them dry out before you water again. String of pearls also grows actively in the spring and fall. Technically, it's considered a winter grower, although in really cold times of year, it is going to slow down a little bit. But when the climate is more temperate, it will grow a lot faster. In the summer, when things start to get hot, you'll want to make sure that you cut back on watering, as too much water during the summer dormancy can cause it to rot more easily. And like we said, this is one that tends to rot easily anyway. So make sure you really scale back the watering when the temperatures start to pick up. I love using string of pearls in arrangements. It's a great complement to other succulents because it has such a different look and texture, and it trails over the side, which gives a lot of different interest, especially if you're using the thriller, filler, spiller type formula to help you create an arrangement. I would love to know what your experience is growing Senecio rowleyanus or string of pearls. Feel free to leave a comment in the description below. And one last thing that you should know, if you do decide to grow this inside, it can be toxic for some animals and even for humans. So if you have little kids or pets inside, make sure that this is an area where they can't get to it, just to keep everybody safe. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share it with all of your succulent loving friends, and I will see you next time.